This is from the Northcom military website, the official northcom.mil. This is interesting information here, guys. Are they preparing something for the Gulf? They're actually preparing military operations within the United States as of a week and a half ago, which would be May 16th through the 23rd of 2010. These units make history with Air Force First Homeland Defense, ORI, which stands for Operational Readiness Inspection. Anytime you hear me say ORI, you're thinking of Operational Readiness Inspection. Basically what they have done is they've gotten military forces and also National Guard to work together with Department of Homeland Security and state and local law enforcement to go through wartime scenarios on the homeland in the United States. This is the first time this has ever been done. Listen to this. You have to. I'm going to put this article so you guys can read it over again later, but I'll read you the highlights here. For the very first time, the U.S. Air Force has validated a unit's wartime capability to defend the homeland by fighting an enemy right here on U.S. soil, said Colonel Greg Nelson, the commander of the Kentucky Air National Guard's 123rd Airlift Wing, which served as the lead organization for the ORI. That represents a major shift in the way the Air Force unit readiness leaders evaluate unit readiness, because it puts the focus in our own backyard rather than in a simulated overseas location where these evaluations are usually staged, he said. The inspection was a total force effort with the 123rd Airlift Wing representing the Air National Guard, the 317th Airlift Group from Diaz Air Force Base, Texas, providing active duty forces, and the 70th Aerial Port Squadron from Homestead Air Reserve Base, Florida, contributing Air Force Reserve members and equipment. As with traditional ORIs, this one tested the ability of each unit to mobilize airmen and equipment, fly to a remote site, operate in hostile environment, defend against enemy attacks, and redeploy back home, all while AMC inspectors evaluated every phase of the operation. Unlike traditional ORIs, in this one, the participants were tasked with supporting civilian authorities while fighting an unconventional foe in the United States. In the past, ORIs have typically required units to deploy to simulated overseas bases and defend against conventional military forces. So they're expecting some kind of a military force within the United States that's going to pose a threat to our own military. Listen as it goes on and as it talks about the Gulf. This really alerted me right here. I am pleased to say that all three units passed this test with flying colors. We are ready to perform our mission on the theater airlift anytime, anywhere, whether it be in support of our allies abroad or here at home in the defense of the United States. The ORI scenario that played out in Mississippi required more than 300 Kentucky Air Guard members to establish operations in concert with about 175 airmen from the Texas and Florida units, forming the I think they meant national 104th Air Expeditionary Wing. All three organizations work seamlessly to launch theater airlift and medical evacuation sorties across the Gulf Coast region, supporting U.S. Northern Command missions and civil authorities while foiling multiple attacks by well-organized terrorists. The inspection posed an unusually challenging environment because of extreme weather conditions and several 11th hour changes caused by the non-availability of infrastructure. So they had these tests where all of a sudden there's no infrastructure. Extreme weather conditions. Obviously that could also mean something to do with this terrible thing that's happening in the Gulf off the coast with the oil. We didn't flinch. This is what they said. We didn't whine. We didn't push back to any challenge, from challenges in taskings to changes in location, to changes in facilities at the last minute, he said, with temperatures hovering around 100 degrees. It also was the hottest ORI the team chief had ever seen. But we maintained a great attitude. We operated safely. We performed our mission with a level of excellence that makes me proud. Even more significant, this inspection marked the first time that any Air Force unit had been wartime validated in support of the security and defense of the United States of America. That's huge, Nelson said. The colonel of the 317th Air Wing also agreed. Then it says the 317th AG, 123rd AW, and the 70th APS are ready and now tested to meet the challenge, reduce human suffering, and save lives. He said, if an attack on the homeland happens, we will be the first responders. Americans can sleep better knowing that the 317th AG and all these other units that they're preparing now will defend us, and they will support civil authorities in the United States. And that the very survival of thousands of Americans rests on our now tested ability to immediately respond to perform mass casualty medical evacuations after a chemical attack. I'm telling you, people, they are preparing for something major within the United States. This just was posted the other day. Now listen to this. I'll skip through here. They're saying because of a post-9/11 now world in which we live, Homeland Defense has taken center stage. Almost everything that an airlift wing would do in support of a real Homeland Security, Homeland Defense mission, whether it be response to a terrorist attack on U.S. soil or humanitarian aid following a hurricane, would be in support of a lead civilian agency at a federal, state, and local level, which would probably be Department of Homeland Security. So these military forces are going to be backing up Department of Homeland Security along with the federalization of the local and state law enforcement. As a result, the overall command and control aspects are completely different from those of an overseas operation. No, really? Oh, well, they're just getting us all prepared to take on the American public. Because the American public, they are considering as an enemy combatant. It will arise and fight. This is what they're expecting here, guys. Or it can also mean that there's going to be some catastrophe that has something to do with chemical, biological, or the problem in the Gulf, which is probably going to be a relocation of all those people along the coasts of the Gulf. This is what they're getting ready for. So what they are preparing for is a loss of infrastructure. They are preparing for mass casualty medical evacuations after a chemical attack. And this is all having to do with these military units, not just National Guard, but these are actual military units that are prepared to meet the challenges, and they will be ready. They are now prepared for something to happen on the homeland. They're going to coordinate with Department of Homeland Security, state and local law enforcement, and I believe it has something to do with this Gulf region that we are all talking about, is in the news, along with civil unrest as a result of a major war and a collapse of our economy because of the rise in oil prices and because we are teetering on the brink of a complete collapse. What this is saying is that they are ready to engage the American people in Operation Garden Plot. Somebody please look up that term, Operation Garden Plot. I will put a link on my channel so you can understand what Operation Garden Plot is and what it means. And you can study that. That is all preparations to engage the American people with military assets. So God bless. Everybody prepare their hearts and their minds and their souls before the Lord, because there is something big on the horizon for our world in which we live.